Hello and welcome back to my studio. It's Lois here from Lois and Morgana Davidson Art, and today I'm going to be looking at the subject of keeping a sketchbook. There's no wrong or right way to keep a sketchbook, and there's no wrong or right or good or bad style of sketchbook. As with everything in any creative endeavour, it's all down to personal choice. The way you want to keep a sketchbook, or even whether you want to keep a sketchbook, and of course the style. Whether you're a beginner or a more experienced painter, the subject of sketchbooks can cause quite a lot of confusion, especially if it's not something that you include in your practice, because there are so many different types and so many different styles, sizes, paper types, orientation, let alone all the different brands of sketchbook that are out there. Of course, I'll be focusing on the sketchbook brands and types that I use, but I'm hoping that there's enough variety here to give you an idea of the type of sketchbook that would be useful for you in your particular style of creative practice, and maybe which ones wouldn't be suitable. And hopefully it'll give you a good starting point. And for anyone that hasn't done any sketchbook work for a while, hopefully this will just remind you of how much fun it is, but also, and probably more importantly, what an incredibly valuable tool a sketchbook can be in helping you to make really solid progress in your creative journey in whatever style you choose to paint or create. But first, just before we get into the video, I'll just give my new book a plug, Landscapes in Watercolor, Techniques and Tutorials for the Complete Beginner. It's now available to purchase from all good bookstores. I'll leave a couple of Amazon links below, but if you do a Google search, you should be able to find it in your favourite bookstores online. The first thing I'm going to do is talk very briefly about how the size and style of sketchbook will really be affected by what you want it for. If you want to go out into the landscape and sketch en plein air, out in the great outdoors, then the kind of sketchbook that you'll be looking for will be very different from that you would want to use if you were planning paintings in your studio, or using a sketchbook to explore and play in your studio. Of course, you could use any size there if you're at home, but it's really important to have something sort of light and portable if you're going to be out and about. Here's a pile of smaller sketchbooks, and the first thing I'm going to say is, for plein air painting or going out and about with your sketchbook in your bag, if you like to do urban sketching or that sort of thing, you may be better off choosing a sketchbook with tough covers. You can often get a lot of softback sketchbooks, and while they're really lightweight and really nice, some of them, I don't think they're too great for just throwing in a bag and taking out sketching outdoors. But of course, they're perfect for using in the studio. But for throwing in a bag and going out and about, then these hardback sketchbooks are preferable. They'll protect your drawings inside, no matter what the weather, and also they can get bumped around in a bag without the covers being too damaged. This little A6 sketchbook is ideal. You can see how small it is. It just slip in a bag really easily. The covers are quite strong. It's got mixed media paper, which is good for drawing with dry media, as well as wet media if you don't mind your sketchbook buckling a bit. The only downside to this style of sketchbook is, of course, the pages don't lay flat, but you can take a couple of clips with you in your bag, and that solves that. It keeps those pages nice and flat. Another style of sketchbook in this sort of small size is this concertina sketchbook. And the pages open out like a concertina, and this is lovely if you like to draw and sketch and paint across several pages, and it's a really handy format to take out with you. This one's by C. White of Brighton, and their concertina sketchbook come in nice hardback slip covers. This is a linen bound Sennelier concertina sketchbook made with watercolour paper, and that's wonderful to take out. And you can get these lovely indigo concertinas made with handmade cardi paper, which is a really nice surface for sketching. And most of these are A5, which I think is a really good size for sketching. And again, you can sketch across the spread or just on the individual pages. A lot of them come with an elastic sort of band to keep them closed. This is a really nice one, sort of a square format, quite chunky. Again, by C. White of Brighton, although the brand's not important. I'm sure if you look online in your favourite art stores, you'll find similar sketchbooks wherever you are in the world. Now, if you like to go a little bit larger and also have a really good flat lay sketchbook, then a ring binder sketchbook will be really good for you, like this one here. You can either use it in portrait format like this, or you can turn it around up the other way and use it in landscape format. Let me turn this round now. Just flip through this one very quickly. This is a 4. Now this might be a little bit big if you like to travel light, but I think it's a great size for people that want to take out sort of a full plein air painting setup, or simply for those who prefer their plein air sketching slightly larger. And we all have sizes of paper that we feel more comfortable with. Most of these sketchbooks come with mixed media paper, which is suitable for working, as it says, in mixed media. You can work in dry media, in wet media. If you work really wet in wet, though, I'd advise you using a sketchbook that has designated watercolour paper in it rather than mixed media paper. And this is an Etcher sketchbook which comes with beautiful 100% cotton watercolour paper, and it's a lovely book to take out with you. But it is again A4 this size, but you can get them in A5 like this one here. And this Sennelier concertina sketchbook has lovely 100% cotton watercolour paper in it too. And this will take a lot of punishment, and it's a really nice thing to take out into the open air with you. So just a few sort of cons as well as the pros to some of these books. The Etcher sketchbooks with their sort of pale creamy white cloth covers can get quite mucky when you take them out and about, and I think that's the only downside. The darker black covers are much more practical. And the ring bound sketchbooks, of course, because they have the ring bind down the centre, they lay nice and flat, but it's more difficult to paint across spreads because you get the ring binder showing through. Now let's take a look at some sketchbooks that are suitable for working in the studio, either to draw and paint directly into the sketchbook or to sort of stick things in, or a mixture of both. Generally, in my art practice, I use larger sketchbooks in the studio because I like to have lots of space when I'm planning things out and to sketch and paint quite large. But there are no rules here. If you prefer to use smaller sketchbooks in the studio, that's perfect. We all have sizes at which we are happiest working. And of course, whatever size you're the most comfortable working in is the perfect size for you. This is an A4 Daler Rowney sketchbook, hardback, made with mixed media paper, and I work directly into it or I stick things down. And this helps me when I'm planning out a series of paintings or trying to work out the composition for a particular painting. So I can sort of sketch and swatch and experiment and then stick my findings in to the sketchbook all together. And that helps me to record my explorations, and then that again in turn helps me to work up my sketches into more finished paintings. And I think really for me that's what I use my sketchbooks for sort of fact-finding missions, practice, explorations, trying out different ideas. And in my studio sketchbooks and studio journals, I write quite a lot. I make notes, and this reminds me of findings or thoughts or ideas. So I've got a sort of permanent record of those light bulb moments that we get when we realise something isn't working, or that we realise something is working, or that we have a great idea stimulated by an experiment. I also like to work even larger, and these last ones that I'm going to show you will be my A3 sketchbooks. I'll show you this one in a moment. This is the one that I used, or one of the ones that I used when I was planning demos for my new book. But this one, this traditionally bound sketchbook, is where I keep some of my more finished experiments, ones that I feel are really successful and ones that I'm hoping at some point to be able to work up into larger paintings. So this in a way is more like a scrapbook that I take a lot more time collating, if you see what I mean, rather than a working sketchbook that I just work into for working out ideas, sketches and paintings. So that's another reason for working large, is that it enables me to put all sorts of little experiments together on the same page, as well as lots of notes. And those of you that know the channel well know that I really enjoy experimenting with colour mixing, and these A3 sheets are perfect for experimenting with all sorts of different colours. I'll just finish up by sharing with you one of the A3 sketchbooks that I used when I was brainstorming ideas for the tutorials for my new book. And so this was a perfect size for trying out paintings almost at full size, for responding to how those paintings went, for pulling together sketches and ideas, maybe colour swatching, notes about what worked, what didn't work, trying out maybe lots of different figures, different colourways, different sort of orientations. There were some that didn't make it into the book, and some ideas that almost made it into the book but didn't quite. But it was really important to have my sketchbook practice. It's what really helped me to sort of pull together my ideas, and also to reject certain ideas that I didn't think would work quite as well. Well, I hope that little look through my sketchbooks and why I use them was helpful, and it'll help you to think about what your intention is for the sketchbook that you want to use, whether you want to take something light and portable and hard wearing out and about with you for urban sketching or on plein air work, or whether you want something just to simply use in your studio to practice in, to explore your ideas. And think about what media you use. If you use mostly dry media, then mixed media paper will be fine. But if you intend to use your sketchbooks purely with watercolour, then I'd suggest buying one with dedicated watercolour paper. If you want the pages to lay super flat, then a ring-bound sketchbook would be ideal. But if you like painting across 2 pages, then a traditionally bound book would be more suited to that, and you can use clips to hold the pages flatter. And if you like painting across multiple pages, then a concertina sketchbook would be perfect for that. So I hope you found that interesting and helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions yourself as to really good sketchbook types, or how you use the sketchbooks in your own sketchbook practice. And we'd love to read any tips that you may have in the comments. So please click on the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and if you're new to the channel, then I'd love to invite you to subscribe to our channel. It's free to do, and it really does help with our reach. And thank you so much to everybody that supports us on Patreon. We really do appreciate you. I'll see you again soon. Take care, and happy sketching and happy painting. Bye.